Job interviews can be scary. Job interviews can be intimidating. It's very, very easy to get psyched out for a job interview before you even do it. Okay. And I know, particularly as a person who finished university, trying to find their first full time job, and somebody who now works in recruitment and works with people that are getting out of university, trying to find their first full time jobs, I understand that process of a job interview can be extremely overwhelming because how much you really, really want that first job. Okay. So here are three mindset changes that we can be implementing ahead of our next interview. Number one is just appreciating that you have done the hard part already. So you need to realize that when you're applying for a lot of these junior roles, there are up to 300 applicants at a time. Okay. So for you to not just get through the screening phase, but for you to actually be selected for a job interview, you have already done genuinely the hardest part. Okay. You have beaten the eye test. So they've looked at your resume and they've seen that even if you've just got, casual work experience and the university degree, they have seen that that is the alignment that they need for this job. Okay. You have already done the hard part. The technical alignment is already there. Okay. You've already seen it probably throughout social media and everything else, talking about just how quickly a recruiter can go through a resume. Now, for me personally, we like to look at the job titles. We do like to have a look at these resumes. We do have a little bit of a skim through, but 9 times out of 10, recruiters, they genuinely do take the time to actually look through the resume and just see the relevancy as to what they're actually after for the job. Okay. But the problem is that even if you do have a good resume, chances are there's probably 15 other candidates that have that very similar background as well, you know. So there does come this little bit of like a bit of a gamble. You just have to kind of take your chances on certain candidates. Okay. So you need to be really, really happy already that you have done that hard part. That first of all, you were chosen for a screening. And number two, when you took that screening call with no preparation, you managed to say the right things to close yourself to get into that interview stage. Okay. That is already a really, really good achievement, genuinely. Okay. That's showing to me that your resume can stick out to a recruiter if the agency that you're working with or the business that you're working with uses AI for their scanning of resumes. You've shown that you can beat that as well, which is really, really good. And it shows that, when you're unprepared and, you don't know exactly what to say, you still said the right things in the screening call to get yourself the interview. All right. You've already done the hard part. Usually, job when we put out a job and you've got like 300 applicants, you usually screen about maybe 10 to 15 different candidates and then you interview about 3 to 5. So for you to get to this stage right here, you've already done the hardest part. You've been in the biggest numbers game already. So well done there already. That is the best thing to keep in your mind when you're approaching these interviews. Okay. Secondly, okay, the experience is what matters. Now, I'm not talking about necessarily the experience of your work. I'm talking about the experience of the job interview. Okay. So at the end of the day, yes, I love making these YouTube videos and I love preparing candidates for job interviews. But what I always tell them, and this is what I would tell anybody with anything you do, going out and actually doing it is what matters. There's no point watching 100 videos about someone going to the gym if you're not actually going to go to the gym yourself and give it a try. Okay. You're better off going to the gym, failing to make that weight that you want to do the rep wrong, do the exercise wrong, and keep doing it, keep doing it until it actually works, rather than just watching the video and not making any progress anyways. It's the same thing here with these job interviews. Okay. Yes, it's good to watch videos and to make sure that you're understanding the best way to present, but at the end of the day, you're not going to get it 100% straight away. The best thing to do is go into these interviews and just appreciate the experience. Appreciate the whole dressing up, appreciating, practicing your body language and practicing your answering of questions, understanding different questioning styles. That's one thing I noticed when I was going in for all these job interviews and I was straight out of university, is that every recruiter was different. Take the time, think about the questions that they asked you. Think about if you said a certain thing, when did they start writing? Try to ask them that after. If say you're unsuccessful or say you're even through to the next stage, maybe ask them, hey, why did you ask this question? Or actually, maybe don't ask the questions while you're still in the interview phase. But, if the interview doesn't go well, feel free to ask those questions. Feel free to extract that information because it's all about learning. You're all learning about different interviewing styles, different interviewing approaches, dealing with different personalities, dealing with people who may probe you to say more, people that may ask you to say less in interviews, whatever it is. The whole experience is what matters, and taking it from that first interview, and you may walk away from that thinking, oh, I didn't answer that as best as I could, or oh, I didn't do as good here as I would have liked to. You can then take those situations and experiences for the next one, which is so valuable. That real, raw, practical experience is what matters in the long term. So appreciate that as well, genuinely. And number 3 is appreciating that the connections can still grow from a job interview. So working in recruitment, I've noticed myself that we may put a candidate forward for an interview, or we may interview a candidate internally. They may not be the right person for that job, but the connection can still be there. So long as you present professionally and you present as kind and respectful as possible, recruiters will make a way to work with you in the future, especially if you have the right skill sets that sell in your industry. So just understanding that the connections can still grow from that situation. You may have a really good connection with the recruiter who screened you, or the one that has been emailing you to organize the interview. They may really like you, and they may be in touch with you for the next opportunity. So that's the other thing, is that when you're going into these interviews, just understand and appreciate that the connections can still grow over time. It may not happen right now. It may not happen in 6 months. You may even get another job in the meantime. But in 1 year, 2 years' time, they may have another role. They may be hiring, and it may be the exact role that you're after, and you may have the exact value that they need. So it's all about understanding that these things can happen at the right place and the right time. And if you just go into these interviews and present as best as you can, that's going to last. And you may not be the right person for that first job, but they may find something for you in the long run. That's why I always recommend as well, when you go into these interviews, always try to connect on LinkedIn with the recruiters or the people that you worked with for the interview, because you never know when the opportunity will come to work with them again. Okay? I hope you guys got some value from this video. If you are interested in working with me on a one-to-one level, hit the link below for a free consultation. Happy to have a 30-minute chat with yourself, and we can work out your long-term goals career-wise. Hope you guys got some value from all of this. Look forward to hearing back from you. Hope you guys enjoyed. Take care. See ya.